Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan Nair, and here basically we are discussing about the topic of the Congress Party's achievement. And in this, basically, we were talking about the earthquakes, how basically earthquakes are basically mapped. First, we will see basically the earthquake. Basically, everybody knows that it's connected with the blood groups, right? That is basically 22 blood groups. Basically, we have in this world basically, and mostly basically all are created basically, right? Now here the one person basically asked the question, how basically the blood group, how basically when the blood group was not there, right? When the blood group was not there, that time basically the old basically medical experts basically how they mapped the blood group basically, that this person should get A blood group, that person should get B blood group, that person should get F blood group. So how basically they mapped, how they thought that this person should get A blood group? Blindly basically they allocated the blood group, or there was some plan basically behind this of the medical experts? Sorry, so the medical experts has done this plan, or basically this was basically just blindly allocated, this person should get F blood group, this person should, this person behavior is like this, so he should get a C blood group, like this basically they have allocated on the behavior, on the base of the behavior basically. So is it like that, or basically they had done some thing basically inside the each and every person's body basically, like they injected something in the body that they should get from after injection, after the injection, sorry, after the injected thing basically, whatever things basically they injected, after that they basically got the blood group. Is it like that? So there were basically the lots of possibility, mostly possibility is this, that they injected something inside the human body and they got given the blood group basically. That means it's a medical basically, you can say, plan basically behind this of the blood group. So what actually they actually has planned, that from this blood group basically we are going to achieve this, from that blood group basically we are going to achieve this. So I will take best example. uh, the natural resources basically are mostly getting over and mostly basically captured by the big kings group basically. They basically have the all the natural resources, because they say that we don't believe in the created resources. So that basically we will discuss why they don't believe. So first we assume that all the natural resources are captured by the kingdoms of the each and every country. So they captured each and every resource. Now basically the natural resources basically has got over. So now basically how normal basically public are going to stay in this world basically. They basically are normal public. Normal publics, they can't spend too much of money like the kings basically spends the money. They can't spend, right? Each and every people are not the king, right? Each and every people are not the richest people. Each and every people are not staying in the big buildings basically. Big means high profile building basically. In Mumbai basically, there are basically 150 floor building basically. Each cost basically more than 100 crore basically. Each floor basically, each house basically cost more than 100 crore. So their buildings are basically very rich people only basically can afford. Why? Because 100 crore basically house expense basically, sorry, the house cost. You can just imagine how much rich Mumbai city is. If one building basically is containing as in a 100 floor, and each floor basically having 4 to 5 house basically, each floor basically contains 100 crore. So 5 floor basically 500 crore. So you can just imagine the cost of the building also, and the people basically staying in that single building, how rich they might be, and they are all are safe basically, right? So here basically we are discussing that. Here basically we are discussing that how basically the medical department basically has mapped, how basically they have mapped the blood group, that this person should get this blood group, that person should get that blood group. Only medical group can only be able to do this, because they only have the power na basically. But they says that basically we are not a creator, right? We just map the thing. So the creator are those group basically who creates the cities basically. So those are IITs, IIMs, IAS officers. They basically have the authority to sign the approvals. The approvals are basically the creator basically who basically says that this is our plan, and like this basically you can approve it, and basically like this basically we can give you few blood cells basically from this city, and from this city basically you can able to generate the human needs also basically, that are vegetables, and few basically people says that you can have few fruits also from these cities energy basically. So these all are basically the creation. So like this, for example, from Mumbai city, Mumbai is a very high tech city basically. So Mumbai city say that we can give you very high tech fruits basically. From that, for example, in Mumbai city basically there are around more than 10,000 buildings, right? Means just taking as a rough example, 10,000 buildings. That also very highly profile building basically you can say. So Mumbai basically contains around more than 30 stations like Churchgate, Bandra, Dadar, Borivali, Virar, Dombivli, Thane. Thane is the very high profile city. Sorry, high profile area basically. Then Dadar is also very high tech area basically, because Siddhi Vinayak temple is there. That's why basically it's very high profile area basically you can say. Then Shanta Cruz is there. Then the Vikroli is there. Vile Parle is there. Like this, basically many areas are there. They have already divided it. That means they have divided. That means the plan was already. They basically know that the natural resources are going to over. So each and every area basically we are going to create. Basically, mostly they have created also. They are basically creation. They are into recreation of the cities also. Sorry, recreation of the area basically. City is Mumbai city. So here basically same way basically in the India basically there are more than 1,75,000. Sorry, more than 85. Sorry, more than I think 35,000 cities basically in India basically, right? So each and every city basically is going to create something, because they might have got the target, right? They have to create this, they have to create this. So here the question is basically the medical department say that the blood group basically we have created. Blood group basically we have created on the base of certain data inserted inside the body group. So like this, assume that we will say that the blood group basically set of medical team only basically might be knowing this, who basically say that India is one blood, USA is one blood, Africa is one blood. Like this, each and every countries are one blood. Like this, they have entire city, entire country basis, sorry, entire world. This type of creation is already done basically, and they have the balance sheet also of the India country basically creation. That India country basically created, and this many expenses it basically has done. And on the base of expense basically this many businessmen basically have been basic businessmen basically invested in this money basically, in this creation basically. The people says that we know basically this all are the businessmen basically. Few old businessmen of India basically like Tata, Reliance, Adani's, Mittals. These all are basically old businessmen basically, and they know basically the India basically how the India is created, how India basically has created, and how basically the world has created. So here basically we will discuss this whole thing also basically how the investment basically has happened across the world from India also, because because 22 crore people's Indian population are in across the world also. So without investment, basically they are not going to allowed to stay the Indian nationality, right? That is 100% sure, basically. So USA is basically allowing Indian people to stay because Indian basically businessmen are investing there. That is by default, basically. They are investing in USA. That's why basically the Indian people are able to stay there. And Indian people basically are good in resources. Few people says that we are good in software, basically. Few people says that we are good in engineering. So that resource basically they are selling it, and the creation is basically happening in USA. So it's a professional way, basically, you can say. USA are totally professional group, right? USA is a totally professional people, basically, right? They are allowing Indian to stay there because they are getting something from India, right? Without getting, basically, they are going to allow to stay to India, Indian people. No, they are not going to. They are getting something. That's why basically they are allowing Indian to stay there. Getting means what they might be getting. They might be getting the resources. Resources they also might not be having. Questions are basically there, right? Resources they basically have more than Indian people, basically. More than Indian, basically, intelligent people, basically. USA basically have because they are the creator of the software industry. But few people say that power basically which they get in the software, that is basically half of the power is basically created by the India. Power basically what is software? Software power means, for example, Microsoft is loading their software, that is easily getting loaded. That is basically on the base of the power supply, basically. On the base of power supply, it's getting loaded. It's not magic, right? There is nothing magic right behind the. There is nothing magic, you can say. Everything is created, right? Everything. Universe is also created, right? Currently, it's behaving like a magic, but it has created by some group, basically. They have done hard work, basically more than 500 crore. Sorry, 500 years, basically. They have done. Few people says that we have done hard work since 1 lakh year. 1 lakh year, basically. From 1 lakh year, basically they are doing the hard work. 1 lakh year means you can just able to understand. Congress just created in 1700, basically 300 years before only, and they are doing hard work since 1 lakh year. So they say that there is nothing like magic. It's just a set of work, basically, which universe group has done, basically. So here basically we will see basically how basically the 1 lakh year, basically the creation basically has happened, how Earth planet came into the picture, and when the Earth planet got created, each and everything, basically. So here basically we are discussing about the earthquakes, how basically the earthquakes are basically mapped. So for that, basically medical team already told that we have created the blood group, and for the what purpose also they also told that human need creation. Now here the question is basically how they are mapped the each and every objects, basically within the blood. For example, building is standing. So for building standing, they have used three types of blood group. One is C blood group, F blood group, and G blood group. So this says that basically they have used these three blood group so that the building is standing. Buildings are standing stably. If anything happens to this blood group, for example, there are 300 crore blood groups, sorry, blood cell, human basically connected with this three blood group. If anything happens to this group, basically, then basically automatically the buildings are going to shake. For that, basically, the government will be responsible because government are taking the tax, and government will tell that no, sorry, we are not taking the tax. We are taking the money and we are giving the money to some group. Then basically the UN says that we are also basically getting the money, but we are also transferring somewhere. So like this, each and every people basically just taking their responsibility. Government telling that we are just taking the money. That's all. and we are just passing the money to another group basically, set of group basically. We are totally dependent of the. We also don't know basically where we are passing the money. Our people try to track that where basically the money is getting tracked, but they basically after that they never exist only. They try to track, but they basically never exist only. So after that, basically we never try to track the where the amount is going, tax amount. So like this, basically the medical team says that we have basically already mapped the blood group. We have already mapped the for this three blood group basically is mapped in each and every buildings of the India. Here just we are taking example of the India country basically. That these blood groups basically are mapped with the buildings, and the trees basically which are standing for that basically we have used only one blood group. So assume that there are basically more than 1 lakh objects in this world, in India basically 1 lakh object means trees are there, buildings are there, sea swimming pools are also there, because each and every things are created, so you have to handle that also. Then basically the vehicles are moving, right? So how they are moving, few people say the engine is moving, engines are there, petrols are there but how they are moving basically, that is the main thing. That also very safely. Then basically bus are there, vehicles are there basically, planes are also there. Then each and every foods basically you are eating, that is there. Then basically the education systems are there, colleges are there, schools are there, schools are there, and schools are open also, colleges are there, medical hospitals are there. And like this basically many things are basically created, and each and everything basically are mapped with the blood group basically. Mapped means what? They are stable. Stable means they are buildings are standing in straight position. They are not moving left, they are not moving left, right, they are not moving in top side. Top side means it might possible some day basically when the earth land was newly started, that time basically when the buildings was getting created, that time building was automatically lying upside. That also basically was some magic is not there. There also creation has happened. So buildings are not moving the top side also, like this. The creations are mapped, and according to this all creation, and according to all the mapping basically, the each and every things basically in India basically are stable. In Mumbai basically there are more than 250 floors building basically, you can say. They are stable, right? They are stable means they are not moving to left, and they are not moving to right also. They are not moving to downside also. They are not moving to top side also. Why? Because the mapping has done basically. Mapping done means the blood cells data basically energies are basically collected by ONGCs, IPCLs, IOCs, then Reliance, then AIMS Oxygen is there. Like this basically many companies are there basically who collects the data of the energies, and they basically place the data near the building basically. Then basically they say that then after that we basically don't do anything basically. Rest of things are basically controlled by the satellite groups. Like this they also basically say that we also basically don't know anything. Rest of things are basically controlled by the satellites. So the big company like ONGC also say like this. Then basically you can just imagine the condition of India. And India is created by which group? That basically everybody knows. So like this, basically the satellite group basically controls the each and every energy companies also. That also you can say, right? So assume that there are basically ONGC basically, like this in ONGC basically there are around more than 3000 branch across India. There are 3000 branch across India, and each and every branch basically say that we are basically getting controlled by one satellite. Sorry, we will take that three satellites. So that three satellites basically are controlling this ONGC branches that are basically 3000 branch. So this 3000 branch basically are controlling the each and every. So assume that ONGC branch basically got the controlling of the each and every buildings which are basically standing in the India. So they got the basically they got the basically controls of the India basically India buildings basically. Assume that there are basically in India there are around 3 lakh 30,000 buildings. Just assume, just number I had just taken as an example. 3 lakh 30,000 buildings are there currently as one standing on the base of ONGC energy companies, and there are basically 3,000 ONGC plant basically in India basically. So this topic basically we will discuss in detail later on, and this is also basically one of the part of the earthquakes.